is the news and talk of Texas. Now, it's the Rick Roberts Show on 820 AM, 99.5 FM, HD2, News Talk 820 WBAP.
Well, I know there's got to be a few 100 million more like me, just trying to keep it free. Yeah.
Rick Roberts starts right now.
All right, 3 minutes after the hour, 2:03 the time. I'm Rick Roberts. This is the Court of Public Opinion. You know, I've been thinking, I've been watching this. I've been on television and radio now for 25 years, maybe a little more. And I immerse myself in this stuff 5 days a week. I try to take a break on Saturday, definitely Sunday. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't, depending on the news cycle. But I've been watching this, and sure enough, yesterday, as I was vetting different stories, going through my show prep, it came to fruition. It was obvious yesterday by all the early news reports, well, we can't take the Republicans down on the Russia collusion because it's coming to an end and there is no collusion. Of course, the Democrats aren't buying that. But then I did something the other day. Hashtag put God in prayer back in schools. I was asked, Rick, what's the long-term fix for school shootings, school violence, and so on? And I said, well, temporarily, you need to put uniformed police officers in school, limit ingress and egress, and what have you. Long-term, you've got to bring back shame. You've got to bring back responsibility for action. You've got to get back to biblical principles. And by the way, that's what the country was founded on. Biblical principles. And it doesn't matter if you're Jewish or Hindu or Muslim, or it matters not your theology. The biblical principles work for every theology. So I came up with something, hashtag put God in prayer back in schools, put it on the website, and I looked around at other websites, and I found 49 responses here, 120 there, and I said, I don't believe this. So let's do it ourselves. And David, how many people has that reached thus far?
That would be on the WBAP Facebook site, and so far we've reached 72,509 people. 72,000
people. So when people tell you, well, people aren't interested in biblical principles or God in prayer back in schools, that's simply not true. I'm not calling them a liar. I'm just saying maybe they just are woefully bad at math. All right. What's the new strategy for the Democrats? It is to pit evangelical voters against Donald Trump based on his billionaire playboy background. The latest thing is the new porn star Stormy Daniels. You may have seen my guest on a Fox News segment. He recently said on national TV that Donald Trump's adulterous sex with a porn star doesn't matter to evangelicals, even if it's true. My guest is Pastor Robert Jeffress, the pastor of First Baptist Church in Dallas, Texas. Dr. Jeffress, how you doing? Thank you for coming on with such short notice.
Oh, always great to be with you, Rick. And congratulations, by the way, on that website. You're exactly right that, yes, we need a short-term fix, but until we teach children that they're accountable to God, there is no long-term solution to this. So congratulations.
Well, we had to throw it out there because, I'm not a poster boy for Christianity. I make more mistakes in a week than most people do in a month. But I believe in God, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit. And I know as a commercial broadcaster, I'm not supposed to say that. The legal department kind of goes, "Ooh, Rick." But, I also remember that scripture, deny me before men, I'll deny you before the Father. Man, I don't even want to get in that zip code. So,
absolutely.
We had to throw it out there and see what happens. 71,000 people contacted. What did you mean, Pastor, when you said evangelicals don't care about the adulterous behavior of our president, even if it's true. Explain that, if you would.
Well, of course, that's a paraphrase of what I actually said, and I tried to be very precise in what I said. Look, first of all, let's honestly assess what's going on here, and you hit the nail on the head. Democrats, along with never-Trump Republicans, know that the only way they're going to keep Donald Trump out of the White House in the 2020 election is to crack his evangelical base of support.
Right.
So this is the tactic. Let's go ahead and shame evangelicals by accusing them of hypocrisy for supporting Donald Trump in light of these Stormy Daniels allegations. And I said that's not going to work. Evangelicals are not going to shirk away in disgrace for two reasons. First of all, we knew Donald Trump was not an altar boy when we voted for him in 2016. Nobody was under any illusion there. We supported him on the basis of his policies, not on the basis of his personal behavior. Make no mistake about it, evangelicals still believe the commandment, thou shalt not have sex with a porn star, okay? We haven't changed our belief in that. But we are supporting his policies. And by the way, he has been the most pro-life, the most pro-conservative judiciary, the most pro-Israel candidate in history. I told him recently he's not only met, but he's exceeded evangelicals' expectations for him. But the second reason this doesn't work, Rick, is evangelicals understand the concept of sin and forgiveness. The fact is we've all sinned. We've all fallen short. And people say, oh, I haven't fallen as short as having sex with a porn star, which I don't know if he did or not. But the Bible says God doesn't grade sin. We all need forgiveness, and that forgiveness is available to me, to you, to the president, to anyone who asks for it through Christ. And let me be clear, whether he needs forgiveness for this allegation or not, I don't know, but I know he can receive it if he asks for it. But whether he's done that is between him, his family, and his God.
You know, as I looked at this story yesterday, and it was by a man of faith, or at least he professed it. You know, I thought to myself, and I am no theologian by any stretch. I'm a talk show host, but forgiveness is not about keeping score. It's about losing count. Peter asked Jesus, you know, I've got a problem with this guy. How many times do I have to forgive him? 7 times? And Jesus' answer was 70 times 7. And then further, how many times a day does God forgive you? Try to do the same thing with other people. I don't know if the guy's guilty. You know, at the end of the day, it makes no difference. I don't look to the President of the United States to be my spiritual advisor.
Exactly.
I'm looking for somebody that can add 2 and 2 and come up with 4 most of the time. And
look, you know, Rick, I mean, we evangelicals made this calculation before. They made it in 1980 when they chose Ronald Reagan. Even though he had been the first divorced president in history, he was a known womanizer in Hollywood. He's supported abortion when he was governor of California. They chose him over a Baptist Sunday school teacher named Jimmy Carter, who had been faithfully married to one woman. Why did evangelicals do that? Not because they supported abortion or womanizing or divorce. They did it because of Reagan's policies. And that's what this is about. It's about President Trump's policies.
Talking with Dr. Robert Jeffress, he is the pastor of the First Baptist Church in Dallas, Texas. Pastor Jeffress, if you've got just a few more minutes, I've got to step aside for a break. I would really like to hit home to those that identify as evangelical voters and how they should react to this, because the Democrats aren't going to go quietly into the night. This is the I'm looking at this and I'm predicting this is the newest strategy. Start hitting as we head to the midterms into Trump's base, and a big base are the evangelical voters. I've been told myself, hey, Rick, you call yourself a Christian. How can you vote for Trump? Well, what do you mean? Well, you should. Your Bible says this and your Bible says that. Yeah, that's my Bible. That's the president. I'm looking for accountability in policy and legislation. As far as my spiritual and my soul goes, I'll go to the Bible for that, not some president. Dr. Jeffress, if we could, when we come back, if you just give a word to evangelicals and how they should react, because this is going to get a lot bigger very, very quickly. All right, 2:16 the time. Thanks for being along. We appreciate it. Dr. Robert Jeffress is the pastor of First Baptist Church in Dallas, Texas. You see him on Fox quite a bit. You see him on national television. Dr. Jeffress, if I'm not mistaken, you've even been on CNN, haven't you?
Well, I did until I became a contributor for Fox. I even did Bill Maher's show real time.
You know, Bill and I have been friends for years. We don't agree on anything.
He's a great guy. He really is. He was very kind to me.
I used to be his warm-up for his college stand-ups when he had the show Politically Incorrect, and we do that show a couple times a month, and we just had a great time hanging out together. We just didn't bring up politics or religion or anything else. He just, I've got to ask you though, it's no secret, and I think we're seeing it more and more and more. Democrats are looking for yet another strategy. You were on this, I think it was Juan Williams, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And he, was trying to drive a wedge, if you will. And I'm using that to try and inform people that are listening. He said, you know what? Look, Jeffress is correct on the sex scandals, and the lies surrounding them. But they shouldn't flip our assessment of an entire party platform. But neither should a general allegiance to a party blind us to the failings of our politicians. And of course, he's talking about, the porn star. Such things used to matter to Republicans and evangelicals. Well, they still do. They're just being used by Democrats to try and shame, as you said, evangelicals into thinking they're being hypocrites if they vote for somebody that can, they can spend what they bring in. They can do good legislation. I don't know about his spiritual life. I would hope it's a good one, but that's not what I'm looking to him for. If you were advising evangelical voters, what would you say to them, Dr. Jeffress?
Well, let's cut through the malarkey here and remind ourselves that in 2016 we had a binary choice between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. And even though Democrats want to now try to paint her as St. Hillary of Chappaqua, she was hardly a bastion of morality herself. I mean, look, Democrats claim to be pro-women, against sexual assault of women and harassment of women, and yet they support a woman who shamed the victims of her husband's sexual assaults? I mean, isn't that hypocritical? Now, I'm going to be more charitable and Christian than the Democrats. I don't believe Democrats who voted for Hillary Clinton were supporting the abuse of women. I think they were supporting Hillary's policies, not her personal behavior. Why can't they extend the same courtesy to us and say, okay, I understand you're supporting Donald Trump's policies? That's what this is about. And again, I remind our listeners, Rick, there are no perfect presidents. There are no perfect pastors or talk show hosts. We are all flawed individuals. And because of that, when we're electing a candidate, we have to do so by their policies.
And that's the bottom line. That's why, as soon as I saw this article yesterday, and I thought about it, and I put it down and reflected on it more and more and more as I do, I became alarmed. It was like, I've got to get the message out. This is the new strategy for the Democratic Party. Shame evangelicals into feeling like hypocrites for voting for Trump. That's not the issue at all.
The stakes are too high for our nation to get this wrong. I mean, I think evangelicals that I'm speaking to can be proud of the vote that they cast for President Trump. I mean, what he has done in this 1 year of time has been phenomenal. He has put more federal judges on the court, twice as many as Obama. All of them are conservative judges. They are going to have a legacy of conservatism for 30 or 40 years to come. He has been pro-Israel. He's been the most pro-life president we've had. I've had people who have served in the Reagan and the Bush administrations. They said, we've never seen a president as faith-friendly as President Trump. And that's why I continue to support him.
Final question, Dr. Jeffress, and I thank you for coming on with such short notice. When you are approached, and you have to be, as a man of much consequence, when it comes to theology and God and the Bible and so on, you have to be approached by detractors saying, where do you draw the line between your religion, your theology, your beliefs, and politics? Don't you think you're blurring the lines? I hear that, so you must.
Look, our faith, a person's faith, is supposed to impact every part of his life. God never meant for our faith just to be reserved for 1 hour on Sunday mornings. It affects our work, it affects our relationships, and it ought to affect the political choices that we make. And that's the Christian faith. It's not a Sunday-only 1 hour a week belief system. If our faith doesn't inform our politics, what is going to inform our politics?
Good point. Final question, I lied. Maybe a word on the passing of Billy Graham.
Yes, interestingly, Rick Billy was a member of our church, First Baptist Dallas, for 54 years. He joined in 1953. He was a member of our church until he joined a smaller church closer to his home a few years ago. So we were honored to know him. I had the opportunity to attend his funeral service a couple of weeks ago. He did more to share the message of Christ with the world than anyone since the Apostle Paul. So we're going to miss him.
Dr. Robert Jeffress, he's the pastor of First Baptist Church in Dallas, Texas. It's always a pleasure, sir, to talk with you, and thank you for your time.
Thanks so much for having me, Rick.
All right. Well, we're going to step aside here in just a little bit. That's the new strategy. The Russia collusion is over, all right? And really, what did we find? What did we find in this year-long taxpayer expense looking for ghosts under the bed? What did we find? Was there Russian collusion with Trump campaign? No, not one shred of evidence. It's sort of like, I get the feeling, and it's nothing against city workers, but I hate those moving or whatever they're called, road crews, where they have the arrows. There's usually 2 or 3 of them, and instead of staggering out where traffic can, kind of, okay, well, I got to get over, they're right together. Well, what good does that do? Anyway, you pass them, there's like 3 guys leaning on shovels. Well, there's your tax dollar at work for you. How much money did they spend on this Russia investigation? Not one shred of evidence about collusion other than Clinton. Clinton buying dirt to use on Trump. And she still lost, so it's kind of a moot point. And, of course, you've got Maxine Waters screaming at the top of her lungs, "We'll never accept it." I didn't expect you to. Democrats coming out of the woodwork, well, there's got to be something there. You know what? There isn't. Move on. If you can't, then sit there in your own little pity pool and do whatever it is you're going to do. But the Russia investigation is over. No collusion, not one shred of evidence about collusion was found other than the Clinton campaign trying to buy dirt from the Russians to use on Trump. And you know what? Nobody's even surprised about that. Oh, yeah, that's what Clinton does. Nobody's even surprised about that. All right. But the new strategy, if you believe in God, if you consider yourself an evangelical, have you noticed how the left-leaning media is trying to paint that word evangelical as something less than normal? You're not normal. You're different. You believe in God. You believe in Jesus. You believe, well, the Holy Spirit. Well, you got to be crazy. Have you seen that? It's a whole direction. It's a strategy. And if you really believe, didn't God say, "Thou shalt not commit adultery"? Didn't it? Well, what about Trump? I don't know. If he did it, he did it. He's not my pastor. He's not my spiritual advisor. In times of trouble, I don't pray to Trump. I pray to my God. I seek counsel from people that deal with that day in and day out. When it comes to not spending more than you take in, when it comes to defense, when it comes to infrastructure, when it comes to taxes, when it comes to national employment, security, sovereignty, that's what I look for the president for. Yes, but what if he had sex with a porn star? Well, hopefully it didn't take too long so you get back to work. 2:33 the time. Good afternoon. I'm Rick Roberts. This is the Court of Public Opinion, your voice, your opinion, your attitude on the issues of the day. Well, so the story goes, Trump had sex with a porn star, Stormy Daniels. And paid her to keep quiet or his attorney or something. I don't care. I don't care. Well, Rick, what about character? What about what? You know what? We could play this. He said, she said, they did it, we did it, we did it, they did. We could do that all day long. As a matter of fact, if you want to play that game, go to CNN, go to MSNBC, go to that, what is it, Morning Joe? Good. I mean, that's all it is. Well, he said this, and then he said that, and he held his mouth a certain way, and he was wearing a red tie, and, he was trying to be dominant. Okay, all right. All I care about, try to balance a budget. Don't spend more than you take in. Protect the sanctity, sovereignty, and security of America. Put people back to work. That's what I hire a president for. With something more serious, like my spiritual life, I'll go to somebody else. All right? The Democrats' new strategy is to shame evangelicals. You believe in God? Well, you can't be a Trump supporter then. Well, why not? Well, he had sex with a porn star. He's a womanizer. He was a billionaire playboy. What's wrong with you, saith me to thou? You get it. You right? You get the whole thing. I'm waiting for Maxine Waters to jump up on the podium. I just got a word. We need to impeach now, right now. Okay, let's go to your calls. It's Jim and Rowlett. Jim, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fine. Listen, Dr. Jeffers, I've got a problem with him. What he says makes too darn much sense, and it will never be implemented because people want to dissect and they want to discuss and then come to basically no decision whatsoever. We are so twisted and screwed up morally. Joy Behar apologized about what she said about Vice President Pence today.
Right.
Now, do you really believe, after hearing what she said, she actually is sorry that she said that? No. The bigger question is, does anybody care what she says? Well, you shouldn't, but I mean, obviously there was a lot of pressure put on. I don't know what network she works for, ABC or whatever, but I mean, probably hundreds of thousands of people wrote in saying that she shouldn't be that way with saying Christians are idiots because they think they can talk to Christ and Christ talks back to them. Well,
look, that's ridiculous. That's blasphemy, and you don't want to even get in the same neighborhood with that. She's going to have to deal with that at some point. Somebody asked me the other day, actually several people, what do you think about Joy Behar? And of course, saying what she said, I don't care what she said. I don't row her boat. I got my hands full rowing my own. People are talking about it. I'll mention it, but at the end of the day, I don't go to bed when my head hits the pillow. Gosh, I wonder if Joy Behar really believes it. Gee whiz, I hope she apologizes tomorrow. You don't care about that. Neither do I.
Oh, I don't care about it. It's just the fact that, it's all based on phoniness and hypocrisy. And it's just the whole political situation is, and you are totally right, they're trying to shame people that voted for Trump into saying, well, we can't vote for a man. You
can't vote for a man like that.
Committed adultery.
I'll give you a good example, and I'll share this with you, Jim, since we're on the air together. I check my email throughout the breaks, right? I try to get to them all. It takes me a while, but I won't give his last name. His first name's Jay. So, if it doesn't matter what Trump has or has not done with a porn star, why does it matter what Bill Clinton did? Well, I can list off things like perjury, assault, rape, which is against the law. But see, Democrats are blinded to that. Sounds like you're just making excuses for Trump. If it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter all around. Just don't pick and choose what doesn't matter. You sound like a huge hypocrite to me. Well, Jay, I would simply say go back and fact check your statement. Assault and rape and perjury, last time I checked, was against the law. If a billionaire playboy's got a limo full of porn stars, it doesn't sound like something of very good character, but it's not against the law. So there's a little bit of difference. Jim, I appreciate the call. Oh, Jim, I heard you got some gators out there at Lake Ray Howard.
Oh, I don't know what we got out there, but I don't go fishing or swimming out there. I can guarantee you that.
Well, they say there's nothing to worry about. I heard that last night. Lake Ray Hubbard. There's somebody saw some gators out there. So, yeah, maybe give them a chance to move on. Jim, thank you for the call. I appreciate it very much. Let's go to Stephen in North Richland Hills. Stephen, thanks for waiting. How you doing?
Oh, I'm well. Thank you for asking.
You bet.
Just comment on the whole don't vote for Trump because of his alleged affair with Stormy Daniels. Based on her moral authority, that's a little odd. And the other side of this is, what's our alternative? What is it? We're supposed to vote for the Democrats because we can't vote for Trump. Well, which is the party that's been trying to rid the country of Christianity for just about as long as I've been alive, and I'm in my sixth decade? Get rid of the Ten Commandments, get rid of God in schools. Constantly attack and belittle Christianity, and I'm supposed to vote for that instead of Donald Trump.
Of course, Stephen, because it's more progressive. If there are no rules, regulations, guidelines, laws, parameters, that's progressive. That's hip. Now you're one of the cool kids. It's nuts. The whole thing is nuts.
Yeah, it reminds me of something from Isaiah. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil.
Exactly. And if you don't know the difference, you better get to studying really quickly. All right. The Democrats' new move, well, there wasn't any collusion with Russia. Well, now what do we do? I know what we can do. This porn star thing couldn't come at a better time. Let's juxtapose a porn star with Donald Trump and hush money and evangelical voters. All right? If we can whittle away at his base, if we can just do that, because the Hispanic dreamers are already mad at us because they said we voted for Democrats because you're going to do something, you didn't do something. So there's a huge backlash with young Hispanics. So we need to fix that. But we can whittle away at the evangelical vote. You believe in God? And you're a Republican? And you voted for Trump? That's what they're doing. Don't get played. Don't do it. Don't get played by this. Hillary Clinton. Pressure from men is why white women voted for Trump. That's right. Your white patriarch said, woe be unto those that vote for anybody but Trump. And so all the women went and voted for Trump. Man, she has lost it. She's going to Nancy Pelosi Looney Tunes. All right, 2:46 the time. It is a strategy, and it will work on some people, those that identify as evangelical voters that voted for Trump. You are about to be shamed, attacked, and called hypocrites for voting for Trump, because after all, he was a playboy. He had, I guess, an adulterous affair with a porn star. That's what they're saying. I don't know if it's true or not. And how could you possibly vote for a man like that and believe in the Bible? How could you do that? Yeah, I mean, that just is beyond the pale. I'd love to hear Maxine Waters just for entertainment value. Don't be played. Don't play that game. Do the Democrats really think evangelicals are dumb to the point where they would put their the fate of their soul in a president? Any president? No, it's a totally different thing. Totally different thing. No, evangelicals are not going to put their spiritual faith in the hands of a politician, any politician. Jason, and even the one they vote for, Jason in Flower Mound. Jason, thanks for waiting. How you doing?
Doing great. And you, Rick?
Good, thank you.
Well, this goes to the essence of the modern Democrat Party and how they just really haven't evaluated people properly. The first problem is this. They're trying to substitute and peddle emotions instead of policy. So what they're trying to play upon is your fears, your shame, your emotions, and that's supposed to somehow substitute in the place of policy. The second thing they totally misunderstand is that faith is belief. Belief is not necessarily an emotional thing. Belief is based on teachings. So once again, trying to peddle emotions over the top of faith and trying to say, well, you know, if you're a Christian, you have to feel this way. No, we believe certain things. We attach feelings to our beliefs, but we start with belief.
Yep. And, you know, at the end of the day, I wondered about this. Would the Democrats get over the loss of not just any candidate, but Hillary Clinton, the foregone conclusion, the one that everybody bet on? Even she believed it. I mean, she even purchased a home next to hers for her staffers after she was elected president. Nobody thought Trump was going to win. Well, the question was, are Democrats going to be able to, okay, well, they won this time, we'll get it again one of these days, and let's start working and representing the American people? Have they done that yet? No. We just finished up a year-long investigation about chasing ghosts under the bed. Well, there's got to be something. There was nothing.
That's based on emotion again. That's not based on belief. Because even though the facts are staring them in the face, they cannot overcome their emotions.
Yeah, I agree with you. And at the end of the day, if you're a Democrat, if you vote Democrat, are you getting the biggest bang for you? Are you getting any bang for your buck? Is anybody in D.C. working on your behalf? No. They're all working to try and get to Trump. They seem a little preoccupied to be working on your behalf. This is insane. If you're Democrats, I'm not talking about the folks in the bubble in D.C. I'm talking about your neighbors, your coworkers, the people you see every day. Those are the people that ought to be upset. You got no right. You've got unrepresenting representatives. You got people in D.C. that have one focus, one thing to do: go after Trump. That's not representing you. That's not representing the country. That's not working with the party across the aisle for the ultimate benefit of the American people. Nothing is being done on your behalf if you're a Democrat. Bruce in Louisville. Bruce, hi.
Hi, how you doing, Rick?
Good.
We are a daily listener, and I say we. I've got my wife and all of her tennis crowd listening to you and that darn Latino that I keep telling I'm a Latin. We got there first.
Oh, Chris, yeah. How you doing?
Yeah. So I'm doing great. My question to you is, with what's going on with the Mueller investigation and all of the fingers really going back to the DNC and the Clinton Foundation, how do we, as a people, file a class action lawsuit for reimbursement to the federal treasury for the cost of a phony investigation created by them?
Can't do it. First of all, you'd spend another year trying to determine whether it was a phony investigation, keyword being phony. I think you would have better luck petitioning the Clinton Foundation to reimburse the American people for all the tax dollars spent on an investigation that was not fruitful. And you can't really do that either. But who knows? Maybe that's Clinton's new strategy. Let me reimburse the American taxpayers for all the money that was spent looking for something that was never there. And by the way, just ignore the fact that we purchased information from the Russians to use against Trump. That's not relevant. Bruce, I appreciate you and your wife and your tennis people out there listening. That's one thing I could never, ever do, play tennis. Couldn't do it. Tried. Just not in my genes, I guess. Tony in Dallas. Tony, thank you for waiting. How you doing, Tony?
I'm doing very well, Mr. Roberts. Thank you for the show and the crew and all you guys do to put this show on to every day.
Thank you very much.
I listen frequently, and this whole thing about the Democrats now trying to shame evangelical Christians, I wonder when they'll start trying to shame fundamentalist Muslims over overthrowing homosexuals off the roofs of buildings, since that seems to be a demographic that the Democrats claim to own, barring the log cabin Republicans.
Yeah, it's
so I don't understand the dichotomy here, but I will give them credit. They must have a daily conference call with their cohorts in the mainstream media, because the talking points start everywhere at the same time.
No, you're right. It's like, we have, David and I have a pre-production meeting, before we go on the air. We talk about yes, no, we have sound on this, that kind of thing. I think all Democrats in Washington get on the same phone line, one of those spider calls, and start talking about, okay, well, the collusion thing didn't work. Okay, we can count on Crazy Waters, Maxine Waters, and a few others to keep beating that drum. It's not fair. It's not right. We need to find another strategy to get Trump. Does anybody want to work on behalf of the American people? That's why we're here. No. Let's come up with some more talking points. You're absolutely right, Tony. Absolutely on the mark. All right, when we come back, if you're a woman, and you should know, which bathroom did you? No, I'm kidding. If you're a woman, according to Hillary Clinton, she went to India, kind of bringing memories from her failed 2016 bid for president. She's making headlines again. She's blaming racism and misogyny for her loss, her presidential loss. I mean, it's got to be something, right? During her appearance over the weekend, she claimed she lost the 2016 presidential race because of you, ladies. Because of you. You didn't come through. You didn't do your job as a female in this country. If you're a white woman, you didn't stand up to the men in your lives that pressured you to vote for Donald Trump. That's why she lost. I'm not making this up. I'm not embellishing. I'm not injecting my own diatribe here. That's what she said. If you are a white woman listening to this talk show host right now, you're the reason. You're the reason Hillary Clinton lost the election. Because you let the men in your lives, whether it's a boyfriend or a roommate or a husband, you let the men in your lives pressure you to vote for Donald Trump. We did not do well with white men, and we don't do well with married white women. And part of that is an identification with the Republican Party and a sort of ongoing pressure to vote the way that your husband, your boss, your son, whoever, that guy believes you should. White women, how dare you?
This is the news and talk of Texas. Now, it's the Rick Roberts Show on 820 AM, 99.5 FM, HD2, News Talk 820, WBAP.
Well, I know there's got to be a few 100 million more like me, just trying to keep it free. Yeah.
Rick Roberts starts right now.
All right, 3:04 the time. Ladies, time to fess up. You're busted. White women are why Hillary Clinton wasn't elected president. I didn't know that. Hillary went to India. Not sure why, but she was there. She said she failed in her 2016 bid for president, blamed racism and misogyny for her loss. She claimed she lost the presidential race because white women didn't stand up to the men in their lives, pressuring them to vote for Trump. Now, if that's the case, fess up, ladies. Maybe she'll have to write another book, What Really Happened. We do not do well with white men. And we don't do well with married white women, she said. She was at a conference in Mumbai, India. I guess, I don't know why, but part of that is an identification with the Republican Party. Okay, let me see if I got this right. White married women, they're why you lost, and they identify with the Republican Party. Sort of an ongoing pressure, she said, to vote the way that your husband, your boss, your son, whatever man that's in your life believes you should. She'd been asked why about 52% of white women voted for Trump, despite all his, vulgar language and Playboy history and all that. and she was interviewed on stage in India by somebody, doesn't matter. She's accused Trump of running backwards, a campaign that appealed to racist and misogynist. Okay, let's see. He ran a campaign that racist liked and misogynist liked. I won the places that represent 2/3 of America's gross domestic product. So I won the places that are optimistic, diverse, dynamic, moving forward. And his whole campaign, Make America Great Again, was looking backwards. I got news for you, sweet cheeks. Take a look at California. That's the biggest train wreck you're ever want to see. I know I broadcasted out of Southern California for 16 years. It's a dump. It's a mess. It's a haven for drugs and illegal criminals and illegals in general. She claimed the Trump message to voters was, you didn't like black people getting rights. Now, Hillary Clinton actually said this. She said that Trump's message to voters was, you didn't like black people getting rights. You don't like women, getting jobs. You don't want, to see that Indian American succeeding more than you are. I guess she threw that in since she was in India. During the campaign, Clinton apologized for her basket of deplorables remark, where she argued that Trump supporters were driven racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, and all the rest. It seems like she's returning to an oldie but a goodie. All right, ladies, fess up. Hillary Clinton has just busted you out. If you're a white woman, especially a married white woman, the reason she lost was because of you. All right, let's go to your calls. Let's go to Debbie in the Colony. Debbie, you ready to give it up? Hillary busted you.
Oh, I sure am. And Hillary got it right. White women is the reason she lost, but not for the reason she thinks. I did the research, and I told my husband who to vote for. And that's the way it goes. Not only who to vote for, where to vote, and what time to go, because he's got too many other things on his mind, and I'm going to make sure he gets the job done.
Well, now, wait a minute. This runs counter to what Hillary Clinton said. She said that she lost because white married women did what their husbands told them to do. And you're saying you told your husband what to do.
Well, that's right. I did. I've got the time. I did the research, and I told them what's up, and this is what's up. And every election is like that. And not only that, I took my Sri Lankan friend to the voting booth so that she could vote. She doesn't drive. Also, my neighborhood, I let all of them know who to vote for, and I had signs out front. And I've got Hispanics, I've got blacks in my neighborhood, and we all agree just the same. So this white woman definitely made sure that Hillary Clinton did not win.
Based on what I heard Hillary say, do you want those blacks in your neighborhood to have rights?
Absolutely. Like I said, I encouraged them. Get out there and vote.
You must be the exception to the... Ladies and gentlemen, I found the only white married woman in America that doesn't fall into Hillary Clinton's category. A white woman that's married actually told her husband who to vote for. Yeah, this is different. I don't know, Debbie, what to do with this.
Well, it also goes back to another thing that she won't agree with is I prayed to God and let God advise me who to vote for.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a second. Now we're you just drove off the road now. You're a white married woman that thinks for herself, has a belief system, acknowledges the presence of God, and voted for Donald Trump. What is wrong with you?
Well, according to Hillary Clinton, everything.
Debbie, good call. Well, there she is, the only one in America that wasn't pressured into voting for Trump by the man in her life. I can't even believe that came out of Hillary Clinton's mouth, but it did. Has she heard from white women in America? Evidently not. Of course, she was in India. She's good at playing to the crowd. Maybe that was it. All right, if you're a white married woman, Did your husband browbeat you, drag you kicking and screaming, pregnant and barefoot to the voting place and make you vote? Is that what happened? No, you can tell me. I won't share. So that's what happened.
You know, white women who were going to vote for me and frankly standing up to the men in their lives and the men in their workplaces were being told she's going to jail. You know, you don't want to vote for her. You know, it's going to be terrible. You can't vote for that. So it stopped my momentum and it decreased my vote.
Yeah, it wasn't me. I had nothing to do with this. What happened was, I was in that car blowing and going. We were going so fast the paint was burning off. And then all of a sudden, the men in white women's lives and at their workplaces and their sons, oh, Hillary can't be trusted. She's going to jail. And that stopped my momentum. Everything came to a screeching halt. Hillary, a doddering old socialist named Bernie Sanders, was spanking you at the same time your momentum stopped. I don't know that she ever had any momentum. All right, if you're a white married woman and you were pressured, maybe we need to start a new movement. Hashtag I was pressured to vote for Trump. Yeah. White married woman. Janet in Southlake. Janet, thank you for waiting. How you doing, Janet?
Hey, I'm one of those terrible white women that did not vote for Hillary.
Hold on. White woman alert. White woman alert. Okay.
My husband fought it for months. He couldn't believe I supported Trump. I was on the Trump train from day one. I loved him. I watched every single speech he ever gave. Now, my husband would never have voted for Hillary, but at one point he was just going to stay home. He says, I can't do it, but he did.
Wow. And he voted for?
Trump.
Oh, wait a minute. I thought you said he wasn't going to vote for Trump.
He wasn't. He fought it like crazy for months, but then he did vote for Trump, and he's glad he did. Now he loves him.
Well, Janet, I don't know. You must be I guess there's two white married women that weren't pressured into voting for Trump by misogyny. Or you sure your husband didn't browbeat you into voting for him, or your boss, or your son?
No pressure, and all of my friends voted for him too. Everyone I know.
Wow. Well, I don't feel so bad making taking a look at what we had to pick from, and getting behind Trump. What I don't understand. What's happened to Hillary Clinton's mental faculties? Why even, obviously, she said it out loud. I just played some of it. Where do you think that comes from?
She's crazy. She always has been, still is.
She's crazy, Rick. Get up to speed. Janet, thank you very much. I appreciate the call. Larry in Leon. Larry, thank you for waiting. How you doing, Larry?
I am doing fine. First-time caller. I was a never Trumper. I was browbeat, abused, and cut off until I agreed to vote for Trump.
Oh, man. Wait, okay, so your wife said, who you voting for? And you said, I don't know. And then that's when the problem started.
No, I worked for Cruz, and I just was not going to feel that way.
Well, I talked to a lot of people that were Cruz folks. And they just said, I can't do it. I can't do it. Well, so what? You're not going to vote? Well, you're not going to vote for Hillary, certainly. So you're not going to vote, period.
That's what came around. That's how it came around. But my wife was pretty insistent.
I wonder how many people Hillary took into consideration. She's making women sound, the old saying, she's making women sound like they're, pregnant and barefoot in the kitchen, making gravy. Women are smarter than that. She's got to know that. I thought she was the advocate, the point person for women. What happened?
She doesn't know what she's talking about and has never. So I wish she would go away and hide under a rock.
Larry, are things back to normal relation-wise at home?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
we're doing fine.
Sound pretty relaxed. Larry, thank you for the call. I appreciate it greatly. Let's go to Joe. Is it Joe Lynn? Is that right? Okay, is that right? All right, Jolynn, thanks for waiting. How you doing?
I'm a long-time listener, first time getting through. Let me put it that way.
Thank you for your tenacity. You sure your husband didn't browbeat you into calling?
Well, we're not legally married. Been together a long time, though. We can't even talk politics. He's not necessarily that he was for Hillary, but he hates Trump.
Right.
So we can't even talk about it. But guess what? He didn't vote at all. He knew he better not.
Ooh.
So Hillary does not have control over these women.
You sure, Jolynn? I'm listening. Hillary Clinton's been a politician all her life. She was Secretary of State. She was a First Lady. She was an attorney at the Rose Law Firm. She made quite a profit off cattle futures. Pretty smart woman. You're telling me, Jolynn, that you didn't vote for Trump based on pressure from some man in your life? Because she said it. It must be true.
No, the tables were turned. The pressure was the opposite way, so he didn't even vote.
I just can't imagine. Well, as a matter of fact, David, play that again real quick. Jolynn, listen to this for just a second. This is just a little snippet of Hillary Clinton.
White women who were going to vote for me and frankly standing up to the men in their lives and the men in their workplaces were being told she's going to jail. You don't want to vote for her. It's going to be terrible. You can't vote for that. So it stopped my momentum and it decreased my vote.
Jolynn, if you were speaking to Hillary Clinton, what would you say?
Well, I didn't hear there was nothing that came through. So
we've got it. We can't pull it off with this equipment for some reason.
Well, but I can kind of guess, and I would tell her she is full of it.
Well, that just about says it all, Jolynn. I appreciate the call very, very much. Let's go to Fran in Fort Worth. Fran, thank you for waiting. How you doing, Fran?
I'm doing great, Rick, and I called to tell you that I am a married white woman, and I did not vote for Hillary Clinton.
Your husband make it pretty rough on you at home there?
I'm like the other ladies. It's the other way around. My husband always asks me who to vote for in every race on the ballot because I study, I interview, I vet candidates, and then I vote. And my husband votes for whoever I tell him to.
Your husband votes for whoever you tell him to?
Yep, all the way down ballot.
Wow. That's I don't know. That runs counter to what Hillary Clinton said. That doesn't make a lot of sense. If you could respond to Hillary's statement, what would you say?
I would say she's off her rocker because women do have brains. We have minds of our own, and we make our own decisions. And she's the one that's crazy if she thinks that's not true.
And part of that is an identification with the Republican Party, and a sort of ongoing pressure to vote the way that your husband, your boss, your son, whoever believes you should.
Yeah. I see. That's Hillary Clinton explaining. It's been a year, and she's still on the I didn't really lose. Here's what happened to her. This time in India. She said, we don't do well with white men because they're all racist. We don't do well with married white women. That's true. They don't. They didn't. Do you remember when they commissioned, somebody said, hey, Hillary, you're not doing well in those flyover states like Texas and Oklahoma and Missouri and Arkansas. You're not polling well there. What can we do? They like country music, don't they? They like guns and they like the Bible. I know they like the Bible. And they like country music. Okay. Go out and find a model, put him in a pair of jeans that are 3 inches too short, and stop by Walmart and pick him up a hat and a pair of Acme cowboy boots, and we'll do a Hillary Clinton country song. That'll bring those people in droves. All those rednecks, all those blue collar, all those working people, they're going to love me after they hear this.
Looking back in time, learning hindsight's always right. We came together in no way to define a moment we all can celebrate.
Yeah, it's definitely not The Voice, is it?
And now it's 2016, and this time I'm thinking, guys, put your boots on and let's smash this ceiling. Oh, I've been thinking about one great lady like the women in my life. She's a mother, a daughter, and through it all, she's a loving wife. Oh, there is something about her, this great lady, caring, hard-working, and once a first lady. She fights for country and my family. Now it's time for us to stand up with Hillary.
All right, I'll stop the bleeding here. It goes on for quite I'm not making that up. That's not a joke. She actually commissioned that song. Didn't that work? Guys, listen. Hillary's trying to relate to you. Doesn't this do something to you?
Don't matter if you're living across this great land in a red or blue state.
In a red or blue state. There you go. Put your hands in.
'Cause our American dream is at stake, and there's some hard choices that need to be made.
Put your hands together, won't you?
We're needing a leader who is tough and ready, who's got vision for Miss Hillary, and that's my final decision. I've been thinking about one great lady.
Come on, you know the words. All right, I don't know why that didn't work. I have no idea. No, it's not Merle. It's not Cash. It's not even some of the contemporary stuff. That's a Hillary country song, and that was supposed to bring blue collars, redneck, hardworking, you live in a flyover state. That was supposed to bring you, I got to leave. I got to go vote for Hillary. That was supposed to do it. Yeah, it didn't work so well. That's because all those people don't want blacks to have rights. If you're married, you white women were pressured into voting for Trump by the men in your life, whether it was a boyfriend or a husband or a boss or a son. That's what she said on stage in India this weekend. Is it Jan? Jan, thank you for waiting. Where are you calling from, Jan?
I live in the country in San Jacinto County here in Texas.
No, good to have you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. And my husband, even though I live in Redneckville, my husband did not tell me who to vote for.
Yeah, that's hard to believe after listening to Hillary. That's kind of tough to swallow.
That song stunk, by the way.
I've actually had people saying, Rick, turn it off. My dogs won't quit howling.
Yeah, well, I could, yeah. Now, my husband and I were Cruz supporters, and, obviously it didn't go that way, and we thought we just found Trump amusing, quite amusing, actually, but, we were enjoying watching him. We didn't really think he'd ever be the candidate, but when it became clear that he would, we knew not voting was not the right thing to do, and we told our college son, who was a junior at that time, you need to go vote for Trump, because he had we'd always raised him to be conservative, but he was getting a little bit more of a liberal mindset.
Well, he's in college now.
Yeah. And we told him, look, buddy, we raised you better than this. And he did. He did vote for Trump. And, my husband and I have never regretted the fact that we voted for him. We have not.
Well, given the options, actually, had the Democratic Party not been, doing some behind-the-scenes shenanigans, it probably would have been Bernie Sanders and Trump. But there was no way the Democrats could let that happen with all the history with Clinton. It just, every turn you make shows you just how out of touch. Not just Hillary. She was just doing what the party allowed her to do. But it just shows you how out of touch the Democrats are with America. That's not a country song. That's a train wreck. I mean, and then going on stage and saying, well, I lost because white women, caved into what their husbands wanted them to do. And, those white Republicans don't want blacks to have rights.
All of that is so very insulting.
Well, it is.
Really, I am not a stupid woman. And for her to say things like that, and especially to go halfway around the world and say it, gee whiz, I'm like your previous caller. Please go find a rock and just go away.
Yeah, that's something that will never happen with Hillary Clinton. It's not in her DNA. She has been a professional politician, aside from her time at the law firm, and she was doing deals with politics then. She doesn't know how to do anything else.
Well, she looks like her health is about to stop her, but unfortunately we've got that gorgeous daughter of hers coming up right behind her.
Oh, Lord, Chelsea. Yeah. Well, now you've given me something else to think about. Jan, I appreciate the call very, very much. Let's go to Mary Ann. Mary Ann's in Fort Worth. Mary Ann, are you one of those white women that just sat there quietly with your hands folded in your lap and waited for your husband to tell you who to vote for?
I'm a white woman.
Oh,
I have a husband.
Hold on. Why didn't somebody tell me there was a white woman on the phone? All right, go ahead.
Married.
A married white woman at that. Okay.
And we both voted for Trump. My husband was probably not on the Trump train from the beginning. He was more Cruz, but that wasn't going to happen. There was no way he would have voted for Hillary, and we would not have stayed home.
So, wait a minute. I don't understand, because Hillary Clinton said you voted for Trump because your husband let you have a pair of shoes and took you down to the voting place to vote.
Well, yeah, and he only lets me have one of the shoes so that I won't leave the house. So,
Oh, Lord. It's crazy, but it says more about the Democratic Party, doesn't it?
Well, it does. And how presumptuous of her to assume that all women work for bosses that would tell them, which means she doesn't expect that any of the bosses are women. Hello?
Ah, yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
Did anybody miss that?
Yeah, I did. It took a married white woman to set me straight on that deal. Mary Ann, I appreciate it very much. There's the exception to Hillary's rule right there, because we all know how in touch Hillary Clinton is with all of us, right? I mean, we know. What is it? Oh, wait a minute. This is for all the white women in Texas and their husbands and their sons, bosses, co-workers.
It's 2016, and this time I'm a-thinking.
Put
your boots on and let's smash this ceiling.
Well, I should start by explaining that Democrats, going back to my husband and even before, but just in recent times, going back to Bill and our candidates and then President Obama, have been losing the white vote, including white women. We do not do well with white men, and we don't do well with married white women.
That's it. There you go.
And part of that is an identification with the Republican Party, and a sort of ongoing pressure to vote the way that your husband, your boss, your son, whoever believes you should. And what happened in my election is I was on the way to winning white women. until
Bernie
former
Sanders
director
showed up.
of the
Oh, sorry.
FBI, Jim Comey, dropped that very ill-advised letter.
All right. I feel bad for her. I truly do. As one of the previous callers said, she doesn't look healthy. I mean, I'm no picture of health myself, but she just doesn't look healthy, does she? She looks in ill health. And, I would never wish that on my worst enemy. But it's just Hillary. Nobody is white women that are married. I was on my way to winning them. White women that were married were getting ready to vote for me until their husbands got involved. Can you believe she said that? I mean, seriously, it sounds like a Saturday Night Live sketch. I was on my way to winning the presidency until white women that were married let their husbands and bosses and sons, they let the men in their lives tell them who to vote for. She actually used that as an excuse. Bob in Fort Worth. Bob, thank you for waiting. How you doing, Bob?
Hello, Mr. Roberts. It's a pleasure to speak with you again. I'm dying laughing, and I have to be careful because I've just had open heart surgery.
Oh, man, be careful.
It's to laugh. But I got one for you that's going to make you laugh.
All right.
Okay? My Russian wife, who became an American because she came in the front door,
right?
Back in 2013. Now, she grew up right at the end of Soviet rule, and she has supported Trump all along. She was a Trump.
Well, they're probably colluding. That's when you're asleep.
Yeah. It's collusion, all right.
Right.
Yeah, okay. But anyhow, if you ever want to ask her what it's like to live in a socialist, Marxist/communist state, ask her, because you'll get an earful. But anyhow, I am the one that supported Ted Cruz.
Right.
So when it didn't go down, I did not vote for Donald Trump. I just voted against Hillary Clinton because she's a nutburger.
Yeah.
When it comes right down to it, she is a nutburger. She's laughably funny. And for me, it hurts to laugh, Well,
I don't want this show to be the reason, you got to go back in for something. You don't laugh. Don't. So you'd sell.
But it's my Russian wife who supported Trump. And all the way, she was a Trump voter. Now me, I didn't vote against him. I voted against her.
Wow. Your household sounds very exciting. I don't want you to laugh anymore. I want you to take care of yourself.
I'm trying not to because it does hurt.
All right.
But you have a very blessed day. I'm enjoying your show.
Well, thank you, Bob. I appreciate it very much. See, I get worried when people's telling me they just had open heart surgery. That's serious stuff.
See, he didn't tell me that before he went on air.
Well, okay. All
okay,
right.
So we didn't know that.
Okay, I'm going to try to be as stoic as I can now for the rest of the show.
Don't do that.
All right.
Don't play that song, though.
I won't play the song again, Bob. All right. Jennifer in Waxahachie. Jennifer, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Are you one of those white women in the kitchen barefoot and pregnant that your husband dragged off to the voting booth?
Well, I am a white woman, but I'm also a millennial. So I was going to add that to the mix, and I would never vote for Hillary.
Well, she says it's because the men in your life have convinced you not. She said she was winning the presidency until husbands and boyfriends and bosses and sons, the men in women's lives, got involved and told you to vote a different way.
I would never vote for her. Ever. And I drove myself to the voting booth.
Yeah. So there was no pressure. Your boss didn't drag you off on your lunch hour.
Nope, no pressure. I would never vote for her. And I'm a young, married white woman.
That, I don't know, that's running counter to why Hillary says she lost the election. Man, I tell you, you're not supposed to ask this of women, so forgive me, but what age group are you in, would you say?
30.
30, okay. Young, white woman, married, voted for Trump without undue pressure by any male in your family.
Absolutely. I did my own research, do my own studying about the candidates, and I would have never, ever voted for her.
Wow. What, can you just give me one reason why you wouldn't vote for her?
The first word that comes to mind is corruption.
Well, yeah, that kind of would do it, politically speaking. Well, you sound very intelligent to me. It sounds like you don't really need a man to tell you what to do as far as voting.
Nope, absolutely not.
Good for you, Jennifer. I hope to hear from you again soon. Hillary, what do you think of Jennifer's call there?
You know, white women who were going to vote for me and frankly standing up to the men in their lives and the men in their workplaces were being told she's going to jail. You know, you don't want to vote for her.
I don't want to do that.
You know, it's going to be terrible. You can't vote for that.
You can't vote. What are you thinking?
It stopped my momentum and
it
decreased my vote.
Jennifer stopped Hillary's momentum. I see. Yeah, Jennifer, just keep doing what you're doing. I appreciate it very much. I thought I had heard and read everything about Hillary Clinton that there was to hear and read. You know, no, don't look what the left hand's doing. Watch the right hand. Money funneling into the Clinton Foundation from the Saudis. No. We're not selling off access to the White House. We're not doing. The bottom line is people didn't trust her. They didn't trust her. I mean, every scandal had some taint of Clinton on it. If not Hillary, Bill. I mean, she envisions herself and Bill Clinton as the more contemporary Camelot of the JFK era. That's not true. No one ever thought of Bill and Hillary as the JFK style Camelot. I think she envisioned that. She wanted that. But the bad part is, well, yeah, I don't know what she was smoking. Bad part is she thought she deserved that. See, that's why she's still on this. This is why I didn't really lose. First it was, the Russians. The Russians made me lose. Now it's Jennifer and Waxahachie. She made me lose. She can't accept this. And that's sad. That's very, very sad. All right. I know the lines are full. I'll get to every one of your calls. Also, the Republicans have wound down the House Intelligence Committee's Russia investigation. And what's the claim? No evidence of collusion. Only took a year to figure this out. No Russia collusion. As a matter of fact, the only Russian involvement we see is the Clinton campaign purchasing or trying to purchase dirt that turned out not to be true on Trump to use against him in the campaign. And the Democrats just absolutely, it was one thing to lose the election with Hillary Clinton as a candidate. Now, after a year of everybody and their dog jumping on this, what? There's nothing there? Oh, man, now what are we going to do?
This is the news and talk of Texas. Now, it's the Rick Roberts Show on 820 AM, 99.5 FM, HD2, News Talk 820, WBAP.
Well, I know there's got to be a few 100 million more like me, just trying to keep it free. Yeah.
Rick Roberts starts right now.
All right. Glad you're along. Well, if you haven't heard, you can probably hear it from here. I would imagine if you step outside your cubicle or your workspace or turn off the table saw out at the job site or whatever you happen to be doing and just listen carefully. You'll probably hear Maxine Waters losing or what's left of her mind in California. Why? Because Republicans wound down the House Intelligence Committee's Russia investigation, and their report, are you sitting down, driving in the slow lane? No collusion. After a year-long investigation that put bitter partisan divisions at odds with each other, Republicans announced yesterday, late, that the House Intelligence Committee has found no evidence of collusion between Trump's campaign and the Russians, who used social media, hacked emails in an effort to influence the 2016 election. I would assume, see, when this came up the first time, I just assumed That Russia, other countries, even the United States do that as a matter of course. Depending on what election's going on in what country, what would work best for the United States, I would imagine that we would hack some emails and use social media to the extent we've had it. Now, I just assumed everybody did that. It makes sense to me. As far as the collusion, that was a different thing, and they haven't found any. There's 150 pages? Yeah. It's being shared today with Democrats who have pressed and pressed and pressed. No, there's got to be something there. Do a more aggressive investigation. It's got to be more aggressive. You weren't aggressive enough. Well, the fact is they did it up, down, sideways, and they found nothing. They're saying, well, Republicans wouldn't let us look enough. Okay. They're saying it's incomplete. Well, of course they are. Hillary Clinton's saying white married women didn't vote for her because of their husbands. The Republican report concluded that the Russian government's meddling, don't you love that word, meddling? Hey, quit your meddling over here. Was not intended to help Trump beat Hillary Clinton. That puts the House Republicans at direct odds with the nation's intelligence agency, which asserted last year that the Kremlin specifically sought to undermine Clinton and assist Trump. Well, if they decided to do that, fine. As long as Trump wasn't working hand in glove with him, or with the Soviets, and according to the investigation, he wasn't. Guided in part by the aggressive committee chair, Nunez, the investigation basically broke down in very, very crude partisan infighting, making decorum almost non-existent. And that's a tradition on the panel that conducts oversight for the nation's intelligence. Didn't work this time. And the Democrats have lost it. I mean, lost it, literally lost it. If there's nothing there, what do you want me to say? Well, okay, there's nothing there. We couldn't find anything. There was no evidence, but I bet you something happened. Okay, what do you do with that? Let's go to Rob in Houston, Texas. Rob, thank you for waiting. I appreciate it. How you doing, Rob?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
You've got a great show, and I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
My sweetie, she said that she decided early on that she wanted to vote for President Trump because he had a better plan for the future for her kids, and that she liked President Trump's message because she felt like what he was saying was refreshing and honest, just because he was saying what was just kind of naturally on his mind.
Right.
And I was on the fence myself, but, because he seemed unpolished, I thought, well, gosh, I don't know if I'd want that guy coming over to the house for dinner. But then I got to thinking, he's never coming over to my house for dinner. What do I care? So I went ahead and I agreed with her, and I voted, and it was neither one of us really affected one another on the decision. We both came to our own conclusions for different reasons, but we came to the same conclusion, and I think a lot of people would agree.
Rob, that's, and by the way, Houston, beautiful city. I used to live in the Woodlands. I've still got a lot of friends down there. I also lived in Richmond and Rosenberg, south of Sugarland. In any case.
Actually, I was on business in Houston. I'm actually from Colleyville on my way home.
Oh, well, good. Hurry up and get home. Be safe. So you're telling me, Rob, you didn't call home, talk to your wife on the way home and say, hey, woman, better be some hot victuals on the table when I get home, and then put her in a headlock and take her to vote after you ate? You didn't do that?
No, sir.
Huh. I wonder who Hillary's talking about then. If you, I don't get that.
My sweetie has her own job. I have my own job, and we have kind of our own things that we do, and we share what we share in our personal lives and all these things. But she's truly her own person, and she won't have me lording over her, and nor would she want to lord over me.
I wonder if Hillary Clinton knows that there are, in fact, women like that in America.
I don't know.
It doesn't sound like it, does it?
I think she doesn't like to give people credit where it's due.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you got a good wife. Sounds like she's got a good husband, and sounds like things are working out for you. Drive safe, get home safe. We don't want to lose anybody. See, that's, I think, how most households run. I think Hillary, I don't know, maybe she's watched too many I Love Lucy's or Ozzie and Harriet or, Donna Reed or all those 1950s TV shows where everybody comes to the table at dinner wearing pearls and a full skirt and men are wearing ties. And funny enough, when I was growing up, that's how dinner looked at my table. I was raised by my grandparents, and that's what it looked like. Seriously. But I don't ever remember my grandfather dissing my grandmother, saying, okay, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. Not at all. Not ever. I don't, he died an extremely wealthy man from buying real estate, but I think he had about a fourth grade education. My grandmother was one of the few women to go to college in the 20s. So maybe there was just enough difference there to make it, palatable for both of them. But when Hillary Clinton says, I lost because white married women were going to vote for me, but they didn't because their husbands told them not to? Really? You believe that? You think women are that? I don't know. I'll do whatever my husband says. You really think women do that? I think she's out of her mind. All right, 4:18 the time. Good afternoon. I'm Rick Roberts. This is the Court of Public Opinion. Your voice, your opinion, your attitude, unless your husband's already told you what to say. 1-800-288-WBAP, 1-800-288-9227. Well, believe it or not, the Russia investigation is over after a year. Report says no collusion. Of course, Democrats are turning inside out over that. Oh, there's got to be a collusion. There's got to be something. You weren't aggressive enough. You didn't talk to this guy. You didn't talk to that. Look, it wouldn't matter what the report said. Unless it impeaches Trump, they're not going to be satisfied. Let's go to Dick in Plano. Dick, thanks for waiting. How you doing?
Hey, doing great, Rick. Loving the show.
Thanks.
Hey, when I was listening earlier with Hillary talking, it really reminded me of back in 2008 when she had that kind of meltdown post primary loss.
Ah, yeah, I do recall that.
Remember that? And all her great ideas and everything she was going to do. But it had that same tone and that same kind of blame she was trying to project on the voters.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. It's hard to describe, though, isn't it?
It's very hard, but just listening, it was on the radio. It was so perfect because it just sounded the same way. And it was just like, it just struck me like that.
It's sort of, hold on. Ms. Clinton, what do you think of Dick from Plano's call?
With all due respect, the fact is we had 4 dead Americans. Was it because of a protest or was it because of guys out for a walk one night who decided they'd go kill some Americans? What difference at this point does it make?
Yeah, well, there you go, Dick. I guess she told you.
She did. Hey, one other thing. There was collusion during the election, and it's been documented. And it was documented in Donna Brazil's book between the Clinton campaign and the DNC.
Oh, well, yeah, that's the only thing they've been able to come up with, Dick, is the Democratic Party was trying to buy dirt from the Russians on Trump to use during the campaign. But that's not what the Democrats wanted them to find, so we didn't talk. Did you hear a lot about that on MSNBC? Did you hear that on CNN? You got some coverage on Fox. Did you hear that on headline news? No, because it wasn't what the media and the Democrats wanted to find. Dick, very good call. I appreciate it very much. Lisa, I don't know. I'm almost afraid, Randy, to take this call. Lisa, is this David? Is
Yes,
this
sir.
Another white married woman that made Hillary lose?
Yes, sir.
Oh, my gosh. All right. White married woman voting against Hillary alert. All right, Lisa, what's your story?
Well, yes, I am a white married woman. And, in the bigger cities, even in Texas, even in Dallas, it's much trendier it was at the time to say you were supporting Hillary.
That's
but,
right.
But what my, and I never was one that was out there pretending that I was, but I know a lot of people did. And I really believe that it's the exact opposite of what our former Secretary of State thinks. People that say they may have supported her overtly, when it came down to just them in the voting booth and they had to decide who was better to run this country, I think that's where she lost the votes, not because of what any man told them to do.
Yeah, I couldn't believe this was coming out of her mouth. It just, she said, I won the places that represent 2/3 of America's gross domestic product. She carried California and New York. Have you been to California or New York?
I used to live in both places,
Well,
so I'm happy to be back in Texas.
She said, so I won the places that are optimistic, the places that were diverse, dynamic, moving forward. And Trump's campaign was about looking backwards. Well, if that's the case, and he won the Electoral College, then you have to look at her and say, well, what do you think the American people want besides a really bad country song? I mean, what do you think they want? I mean, it doesn't make any... And then to say, I had this thing won. Now, this thing was in the bag. I had it done until men started telling their wives and their employees and their mothers what to do. And then, if you identify with that, you identify as a Republican. I'm sorry. Not all Republican women are barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen. They're just not.
It's insulting in every way, shape, and form.
It is indeed. If you could respond, when Hillary, she said this.
Well, I should start by explaining that Democrats, going back to my husband and even before, but just in recent times, going back to Bill and our candidates and then President.
Well, I just thought, with our equipment here, she can't hear the soundbite, can she?
I'm sure she's probably heard it all before.
Yes.
Well, if you could respond, Lisa, how would you respond?
You mean
to Hillary? That whole thing, she had it won until married white women succumbed to their husband's pressure.
No, what actually happened is married white women may have feigned support externally, but when the rubber hit the road, they knew who would be better to serve our country in that position.
Lisa, great call. I hope you call again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts.
I appreciate it very much. All right, we got to fix that. I don't know what you got to do. I've never, ever been in a station where you couldn't pull that off, ever. I don't know. What is that, Randy? Is that some kind of hoodoo voodoo?
No, if it comes through this board, they can hear it, but these two rooms aren't tied completely together because it's the board in there.
Yeah, somebody needs to start tying stuff.
So is what Hillary's been saying, is that some kind of maybe a confession of how Bill tells her what she needs to do and she does it? Sort
of like that OJ confession on TV.
Now, if I did it.
No, if I did do it, I would have taken the knife. What was that? That was the most...
Maybe that was the last book she read.
Bizarre. Did any of you guys see that OJ thing?
That's an old book, though, that he wrote. He wrote that right after he got off.
He did a one-on-one sit-down interview based on the book.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait a minute, dude, are you confessing to murder?
I heard the comments from the comedians. They were just telling me, you ought to shut up before you get yourself back in jail.
Man, $4.25 the time. Maybe that's just the opposite of what Hillary's doing. If I keep talking, maybe somebody will hire me. $4.25 the time. All right. Bottom line is this: there is no collusion with the Russians. Sorry, if you're a Democrat. Well, there's got to be. Well, they didn't find it. Well, there's got to be. Well, it took them a year. House Intelligence came out with a report. There's no collusion whatsoever. We didn't find anything. I don't know what to tell you. At the end of the day, it's all over with. We can't keep doing this forever. So, bottom line, what do you say to Democrats at this point? The investigation's complete. It's been wrapped up. No collusion. What do you say to Democrats that are, whining and crying and throwing themselves on the floor and soiling themselves? What do you say to them?
Comrade Rick Roberts.
Oh, great.
I thought you were going to play the song again.
All right, 4:34 the time. All you white married women that voted for Trump because your husband made you. I had to, honest to goodness, I mean, I've been around for a while. I've spent 25 years in radio and television. I had to read this twice just to make sure I was getting it accurately. I mean, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I won the places that mattered the most. No, you didn't, or you'd be president. Why? About 52% of white women voted for Trump despite the Access Hollywood tape showing him using vulgar language in the days before the election. Because people didn't care about that as much as they cared about a corrupt politician. That's why. She said she lost because of racism and misogyny. And quite honestly, she had the thing won until white married women succumbed to the pressure of their husbands, bosses, sons, other men in their lives. White women, I'm not making this up. Hillary Clinton, and she's a pro, she said white women didn't stand up to the men in their lives, pressuring them to vote for Donald Trump. That's why I'm not president. Wow. Okay. Holly in Mineral Well. Holly, thank you for waiting. Oh, I didn't check. Is this a white married woman? Yeah.
Yes, it is. And she also claimed that she was barefoot pregnant in the kitchen at the time.
Holly is barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen in Mineral Well. Holly, we better finish up this call before your husband gets home.
Yes, sir. I am 28 weeks along now.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. It's a boy. Yay.
Is that your first?
Oh, no, it's my fifth, actually.
Fifth?
Yes, sir.
Wow. Okay, well, congratulations.
Thank you. I voted for Trump wholeheartedly. I had my mind made up before I even talked to anybody else.
Was that one of the kids or a cat?
Oh, sorry, that's a cat.
Oh, okay. You had your mind made up.
Yes, sir, I did. I was working at the time, and I actually got into several arguments with my coworkers over the fact that they were voting for Hillary, and one in particular did not even really understand why she was voting for Hillary. It's just because someone told her to.
There was a lot of that going around, wasn't there?
Yes, and so I sat down and I spoke with her about it, and I told her, the ups and downs of both sides, and she decided to vote for Trump as well.
Really? So you swayed a potential Hillary vote?
Yes.
Well, see, maybe Hillary's got a point. It was those white married women that kept her from the presidency. I don't even understand that. But I'm not a white married woman, so, there you go. But, that kind of rationale, that sounds like somebody perhaps needs some medication.
To be honest, to me, it kind of sounds like a toddler throwing a fit that they didn't get their way.
Exactly. Precisely. It's been a year, hasn't it, Holly? It's been a year since the election.
Exactly.
She wrote a book called What Happened, and now she continues to redefine what happened, and now it's your fault. Evidently, white married women, under pressure from their husbands, voted for Trump when they wanted to vote for her. You're right. It's like a toddler throwing a fit.
Well, if we are the ones that swayed the vote, then more power to us. But it had nothing to do with my husband.
So your husband didn't tell you what to do then?
Absolutely not.
Well, Holly, I appreciate the call. Congratulations on the new young man.
Thank you very much.
All right. Hope to talk to you again soon. Linda in Fairfield. Linda, thank you for waiting. How you doing, Linda?
Hello, Rick. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Just going to throw a pebble in this cesspool that we call Clinton.
Okay.
Anyone ever stop and think through her whole life with Bill, there's been a parade of women coming and going out her back door that other men have brought to Bill or that slinked in underneath his desk in the White House. She's actually the one that stood by and let a husband, tell her when to be quiet, when to sit down, when to speak up and have a brave face. And she still came out on the raw end of the stick.
Wow, you know,
I think she associates submissive women to their husbands with herself, and so she strikes out at all women that don't back her up like a bunch of chickens running out of a chicken coop.
Wow, what a great point. Are you a psychologist or something?
No, but I am a healthcare provider, and this is long back in her history. This isn't something that just cropped up. She views men as an enemy, and other women are being brought to the men she cares about. Brought to the men she cares about, and so that's what's got to be her problem, because she's lost to that her whole life. So she knows nothing else to blame.
You know, that evaluation, that psychological evaluation, makes what she said more sense. I mean, the connection is staggering. You're right. I mean, and this has been going on since Little Rock, by the way. It didn't happen in D.C. For the first time.
Absolutely. And she knew better, and like with Lewinsky, she knew better than to have a fit out in public because, A, everything she had invested would be gone, and B, she had bigger aspirations. So other women that have come in the back door that she didn't know about, that she didn't see, that she couldn't control, as quote to her, has ruined her whole life. So anyway, that's just something to think about.
Man, great point. Excellent point. Hope to hear from you again, Linda. Thank you. All right, 4:41 the time. By the way, is anybody surprised that they didn't find any collusion with Russia? By the way, if you're just joining me, the Russia investigation, after a year, it's over. The report couldn't find any collusion. So if you see it, like right before the 4th of July, you'd be out in the backyard or something, you see a fireworks go up. It's before the 4th, but you see bottle rockets, and you see before the 4th of July, people can't wait. Those are Democrats losing their mind tonight, okay? Because they just know there had to be some kind of collusion. Well, there's not. According to the report, we spent a year investigating, spent a lot of time, money, and resources, didn't find anything. Does that surprise you at all?
White women who were going to vote for me and frankly standing up to the men in their lives and the men in their workplaces were being told, she's going to jail. You don't want to vote for her. It's going to be terrible. You can't vote for that. So it stopped my momentum and it decreased my vote.
All right. Yeah. All those bosses and sons and husbands, all the men in white married women's lives, evidently, they went with them into the voting booth and made them. I'm worried. I'm worried about Hillary. I truly am. Bob in Frisco. Bob, thanks for waiting. How you doing, Bob?
I'm doing great, thank you. I was just kind of curious about the pressure that she said these women were on Election Day. Is that the same kind of pressure that her and her husband were putting on these women that her husband were sexually abusing? That was a lot of pressure that they had to deal with. I don't know. Is it the same kind of pressure?
No, I don't think so. I'm not sure. Hillary is one of those people. She epitomizes do as I say, not as I do. So anything that's ever occurred, even in her neighborhood, since she's been in Washington, she takes no responsibility for.
That's correct. To me, this is just another one of her many lies, but it's not one of the top 5 that she's ever told. So
no. That's the sad part, isn't it? I mean, that
is the sad part.
That truly is. Very well put, Bob. Very well put indeed.
And part of that is an identification with the Republican Party.
Well, there you go.
And a sort of ongoing pressure to vote the way that your husband, your boss, your son, whoever, believes you should.
Yeah, that's right. So all you white married women out there, you don't have a brain in your cute little head. You can't make up your own mind. Just that simple. Hillary said so. Will in Dallas. Will, thanks for waiting. How you doing, Will?
Doing great, Rick. Thanks for taking my call. I really think this also points to Hillary's obsession with identity politics and her basic misunderstanding of how a marriage between two committed individuals works. Once you form that marriage, you vote based on what is best for that married unit. You don't vote for what is best for you as the husband or what is best for you as the wife. Clearly, she doesn't understand that. It goes back to identity politics again. When men vote for men's interests, women vote for women's interests. That's not true in a committed marriage. You vote for what is best for your family.
You know, that's a really, really good point, and I hadn't even thought of that. I'm not married, but I mean, I hadn't thought of that. That's a very, very good point, Will.
Appreciate you taking the call, Rick. Thanks.
All right,
Enjoy
my
your
friend.
show.
You bet. I'll look forward to hearing from you again. Is it Mika? Mika, is that the name?
Micah.
Oh, Micah. All right. Micah in Rockwall. Micah, thanks for waiting.
Rick Roberts, how you doing today, sir?
Good. How are you?
Oh man, I feel like a woman today. I can self-identify as a lesbian for sure.
Wait a minute. Hold
I'm really appalled. I'm really appalled by her statement. So I basically told myself not to vote for her.
Oh, you did? Yeah.
Yeah, aggressively, and I got my good pimp hand out, and I smacked myself around and said, "You're not going to vote for her." So
you're bi-gender then, is that right?
Oh no, I'm a woman.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Today. I mean,
today you are right.
Tomorrow I may not be, but
well, you're upsetting every transgender listening to the program. You know that, right?
Well, okay.
Micah? What's
my second point is, you've been going on these rants about the truck drivers, and I had my really first experience today. I didn't tell your screen caller about this, but this guy from Ontario pulls up behind me and tries to run me off the road 3 times. He even went on the shoulder of the road with a full load to try to ram the side of my car. He's probably this side of Texarkana by now, so I just wanted to throw that out there.
What did you do?
I didn't do anything. I did nothing.
Well, I mean, I did that. Forgive me. I don't mean what did you consciously do to provoke someone, but what I'm asking is what could you have done?
Me. He was right up on my bumper. We were coming down. I was coming down through Rockwall on my way into Fate, and they have, they're doing construction, so they've got the 2 lanes with the big concrete barriers on each side. And I was doing 60 miles an hour, and he came up behind me, and I guess he didn't like the fact that I sped up just a little bit when he tried to pass. So that made him pull around me and cut me off. I mean, I had to put on my brakes because it would have thrown me into the wall. And that kind of sent me over the edge. I mean, to be honest, people shouldn't drive like that. So once we got out of this construction zone, I pulled up in front of him. Long story short, the guy's glad that he didn't stop. I'm glad he didn't stop because he wouldn't have made it back to Ontario.
Now, see, Micah, if you really, really, really feel like a woman would have looked at this situation pragmatically and said, look, we're doing 60 miles an hour. I'm in a 4-wheeler. He's got 18. How much sense does it make to pick a fight with this guy?
Well, it is that time of the month, so
well, that's probably it. That's Micah. That's probably the whole problem right there. Glenda, good Lord, Glenda, thank you for waiting. How you doing, Glenda?
I'm doing fine. That was neat. I like that. Daily listener, wanted you to know I'm a lady of a certain age. My mother was born in 1900.
Oh, wow.
And from the time the ladies got the vote, my dad tried to tell her how to vote. And I would say more than 90% of the time she voted just the opposite. So they were always canceling out each other's votes.
Probably. And you know what? That probably still happens to some degree.
It probably does. But I just wanted you to know, life goes on. Hillary will have some life sometime.
You know what? That's a thought that I had. I truly did.
Yeah.
I had a thought that, is she ever going to be able to move past, because her time has passed in Washington. Is she ever going to be able, is she ever going to be able to move past this and have a life, a fulfilled, meaningful life that doesn't include politics?
I wonder how many excuses she's going to give God.
Oh man, I don't even want to think about that. I'm still working on my list. So listen, I appreciate it, Glenda. Thank you for the call. I got to back out of here. God's blessings on each and every one of you, whether we agree or not. That's always my priority. I'll be back at 2, your afternoon drive for Dallas-Fort Worth on News Talk 820 WBAP.
Nobody really seemed to care that we were living in the middle of nowhere. We just figured that's how it was, and everybody else was just like us, soaking in the rain, baking in the sun. Don't quit till a job gets done. That's the only way I know. Don't stop till everything's gone. Straight ahead and never turn around. Don't back up, don't back down. A full throttle, wide open. You get tired and you don't show it. Dig a little deeper when you think you can't dig no more. That's the only way I know. That's the only way I know. That's the only way I know. The only way I know. Oh, get on it one time.